everyone, and welcome to another episode of What's Cookin'. My name's Missy Lane, and the story that I'm going to share with you today is called Partay. It's written by Eloise Greenfield and illustrated by Dawn Tate, and as you can probably tell from the front cover, it is all about yummy fruits and veggies. Let's find out what the fruits and veggies are up to in this fun story. No words on this page, but I kind of want to just point out a few things, right? What is this, a head of cabbage, maybe? And he's peeking out of the fridge. I wonder why. And then I like this sign that's on the side of the refrigerator, either with a magnet or a clipboard. It says, "Eat your vegetables, party on." The head of cabbage sitting in the fridge. Here's the front door close. Here's the click of the key turning the lock. The family that lives here, I guess, is going somewhere. They're leaving the house. He opens the refrigerator door, peeps out, then creeps through the dark rooms to the front window. He looks out and sees, in the moonlight, his people getting into their car. Okay, so sure enough, the family's going bye-byes. Everyone, all the humans at least, have left the house for the evening. I wonder why Cabbage cares. What's going to happen here? Any ideas? Let's find out. Cabbage watches the car pull off, runs back to the kitchen, and turns on the light. He stands in the middle of the floor, skinny legs and feet apart, skinny arms high in the air, throws his head back, and yells, "Partay!" Oh, and you can see other fruits and veggies running right behind him. So they are ready to have some sort of party after the family leaves. Are they going to make a mess? I don't know. Out from the fridge come the veggies and their friends. They hear the cabbage calling, the love message that he sends. They see the magic instruments sailing into place. Eggplant takes the piano. Basil takes the bass. Tomato takes the saxophone. Swiss chard takes the drum. They make a mighty music for the party that's to come. The others form a circle and they begin to sway. They clap to all the rhythms. Dancers dance in their own way. So not only are these vegetables coming to life and talking and singing, but they can also play instruments? Wow. First up, Zucchini, in the center of the circle. Zucchini's cool, lets the music tell him how to move, what to do. Oh yeah. Showing off a little bit, but mostly in his head he's far away, dancing in the world of the music. Cool. Partay. Does he look cool in his sunglasses? Yeah, I think so too. Hip-hop string bean, she is mean, rippling her arms like waves in the ocean, pumping her knees in string bean in motion. Hip-hop, doing the pop, hip-hop, she can't stop. She can't stop. "Somebody save me!" her friends hear her say, but she's still dancing, even as asparagus is dragging her away. Phew! Partay! Wow, she seriously couldn't stop? She was just having so much fun and then she couldn't stop herself, so asparagus had to come and save her? The baby limas wobble dance, can hardly stand at all. Their mamas run and catch them the moment they start to fall. Aww, partay! So even all the little lima beans are joining in. They're wobble dancing across the floor. The chili peppers, right on the beat, stomping their feet, they're hot. Say what? Hot. I said hot. Man, they are hot. Ouch. Partay. So chili peppers are hot to taste, not necessarily hot to touch, although they can be. But here they mean they're spicy hot. Do you like spicy things? I do, but some people don't. It's all personal preference, right? Mr. Corn and Miss Arugula waltz. They 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. He holds her hand, she dips, leans, turns. They long step walk to the music, waltz to the music. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Woo! Partay! The sweet potato sisters, watching from their bin, waiting ever patient for their turn to begin. Then the sweet potato sisters dance as sweet as pie, pirouette and flit and flutter, curtsy with a sigh. Oh my, party! I like this picture because all the sweet potatoes are in their little tutus. I think that's cute. Sweet as pie. Did you ever hear of sweet potato pie? That's delicious. Artichoke doesn't want to dance. He is much too shy. But the other dancers beg him, and he thinks that he should try. He keeps his head and shoulders down and moves a little bit. But then he hears his friends all say, "Go choke, go choke, go choke, go choke. You're going to be a hit. Go choke, go choke." And so he leaps and twirls and laughs and ends up with a split. Wow! Party! Wow, even shy Artichoke got into it. He just needed a little bit of encouragement from his friends. I love it. The veggies and their friends leave the circle, dance all over the place. The kale, the collards, the yellow squash, etc., 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 all doing their own thing. They dance until they tire and start to sweat. Whew, this is some party. Look at the zucchini down here. He's sweating because it's like a workout. He's been dancing so much. It's time to stop. They dance a slow, tired dance back to the fridge, sweet potatoes to the bin, close the door, and relax in the delicious coldness, happy with thoughts of the night and their fantabulous party. Yeah. Look how happy they are. I love how they're high-fiving each other. The zucchinis are. Oh, look, the artichoke and the asparagus are also high-fiving. I think these illustrations are quite fantabulous. And that's the end of our story, but there's some interesting notes on the back, the end pages here that I'd like to share with you. Because some people say, well, what is the difference between a fruit and a veggie, right? Sometimes we hear that if it has seeds inside of it, it's a fruit. Is that true? Let's find out what the author has discovered. She did some research and she put it here in a note that I think it's quite helpful and quite interesting for us as readers. It says, not everyone agrees on the answer to this question, but many experts believe that the answer depends on the part of the plant that is being eaten. And the question that she's referring to is, what is a vegetable? Okay, the leaves, like the spinach, for example, or the stem, such as like celery, the flower, which could be something like broccoli, and the root, which could be something like carrots, are all vegetables. The part of the plant that contains seeds is a fruit. Some fruits, such as tomatoes and eggplants, are used as vegetables, though. Tomatoes, for example, are often eaten with vegetables in salads, or on a sandwich with lettuce, or cooked with vegetables. People rarely hold a tomato in their hands and take a bite out of it like they would an apple, right? So even though it's used more as a veggie, it is technically a fruit. And the same thing goes for eggplant. There are some exceptions to this distinction between vegetables and fruits, however. Corn is a fruit. I never knew that. And it's also a grain, but we don't eat the cob part, the part that holds the seeds. We eat the seeds only. With string beans and some other fruits, we eat the seeds and the part that holds them. Seedless grapes are another exception. They are fruit, but scientists have figured out a way to grow them without seeds. So this is all fascinating to me. It's all a bit hard to understand, but what do we care? As long as these foods taste good and are good for us. And some night when we're not at home, our foods might decide to throw a party. And if we sneak back home at the right time, we can watch them dancing all over the place. Can we? I don't know. I think that's pretty silly, right? I think this is definitely a fictional story. Fruits and veggies really don't come to life. But it sure would be fun if they did. And then down here she lists, in order of their appearance, all the different veggies and fruits. And there are a lot of them. Cabbage, basil, Swiss chard, asparagus, Miss Arugula, the sweet potato sisters, artichoke, the kale, and the collards. And then there were eggplant for the fruit, tomato, zucchini, hip-hop string bean, the little baby lima beans, and the chili peppers, Mr. Corn, and the yellow squash. I didn't count, I lost count, but there's a lot in there. And my idea today, boys and girls, for the recipe is to use all of these veggies and fruits, or as many as we can, and make a delicious roasted veggie salad. Does that sound like a good idea? If it does, be sure to take a look at the recipe also on our website. And stay tuned. Join me where we'll be going upstairs in just a moment into the portable library kitchen, and we'll whip up this recipe together. Grab an apron, and I'll see you in a few. Hi everyone, welcome back. Here we are in the library kitchen, ready to make today's recipe. As you can see in front of me, I have a beautiful, colorful rainbow of veggies and fruits that are going to help make today's delicious roasted veggie and fruit salad. So the very first step, of course, is to wash our hands. Mine have already been cleaned. You want to make sure yours are too. If you want to grab an apron just to keep your outfit clean, that might be a good idea as well. But then our second step, after we wash our hands, is to wash our fruits and veggies. You want to rinse those thoroughly, allow them to dry, and then we're going to go ahead and chop them up. While my veggies are drying, and they are for the most part, I thought we could start on the cold part of the salad. So we are going to make a roasted veggie salad today, which means we're going to roast some of the veggies and fruits in the oven and then toss them on top of some of our cold veggies. So the veggies that we're going to leave cold today are arugula, which I already have in my bowl here. We're going to add some cabbage. You can use green or purple. I shredded mine up earlier. You could, of course, take the easy way out and buy the already shredded cabbage in a bag, and that would be perfectly okay. The next green that we're going to add is that Swiss chard. Now remember, all of the things that we're using in today's recipe were in our story, Partay. Almost all of them are going to be used in our recipe. We met a lot of fruits and veggies in the book when they came to life and started having a party in the kitchen. Do you imagine, boys and girls, if that really happened? That's kind of fun to think about, isn't it? What other fruits, or not even fruits, but what other foods in your kitchen might come to life? And if they could come to life, what would they do? What would they say? Definitely something fun to think about. Sparks our imagination, doesn't it? We know, of course, that that was made up, that that was a fictional story, that fruits and veggies can't talk, they can't dance, but we can. How many of you boys and girls like to dance at home? You like to partay? So do I. And it's not only a fun thing to do with our family and friends, but it's a very healthy thing to do too, right? Dance can be a form of exercise. It's one of my favorite forms of exercise, actually. What other forms of exercise do you enjoy doing? What other ones do you enjoy doing as a family? That's one of our table talkers that go along with the story as well. So if you are watching this show, you probably found it off of our website, What's Cooking, off of the Kids tab. Also uploaded on there with the pre-recorded episodes are table talkers, things that you could talk about as a family while you are either prepping the meal or enjoying the meal together, as well as the written recipe. So if you want to try this at home, you're not doing it, you're not following along with me, you want to come back and do it later, that recipe is up there for you to look at anytime or to print off at your leisure. Okay, so I have 3 different greens in here, right? I have my cabbage, my arugula, my Swiss chard. The only thing that's missing is the collards from the story, and you can certainly add those. Those would taste good cooked or raw, you can do either. But I'm giving these a nice toss, and I'm going to set them aside. Now my cold greens, my salad part, is ready. The next thing we have to do is chop up these veggies. So I'm going to go ahead and move my cutting board a little bit closer to me. You're going to need a knife, so again, it's important to have adult supervision in the kitchen with you to do this with a grown-up. If you have kitchen scissors, these also come in handy. I'm going to do my green beans first. These are already washed again. And I like to snip off the ends of my green beans and then just toss them in the pot. For this recipe, we're roasting them, so I'm going to probably chop them up small and cube up some of the veggies. So I'm going to snip these green beans again, right in half. So again, snip off the ends to discard, snip in half, throw them in a pan. Any kind of pan will do for your roasting, but you do want to make sure it's coated with a little bit of olive oil. I Forgot to add that, so I'll go ahead and add that now. Kind of move that around in there so that the entire bottom of the pan is coated. And that's just, of course, so the veggies won't stick. Okay, now I'm going to keep tossing in. So we have snip, snip, cut in half. Snip, snip off the ends, cut in half. Certainly do 2 or 3 at a time. I have to mention, boys and girls, that all of these veggies not only are going to taste delicious in this new salad recipe that we're making, but they are going to be ever so healthy for you too, right? We have lots of things that are packed with vitamin A and vitamin K and vitamin C. A lot of these veggies have potassium, which is also very important for our diet. Loaded with goodness here. And we, of course, don't have to use all of these veggies. You'll notice if you do look at the recipe online, I don't have measurements. I don't tell you how much. And that's really because there's no need, right? If you like a certain vegetable in particular more than another, well, then load up on that veggie, right? If you're making it just for your family and you have a small family of 4, well, then, of course, you don't need to make as much as if you're going to make it for Thanksgiving Day, when you're entertaining and you have many more people around the table. So it's really just a judgment call, and you can add as much as you'd like. I say the more veggies, the better. Okay, I'm gonna stop there with my string beans. I'm gonna go on to my asparagus. I do the same thing with my asparagus. I snip off the end. Sometimes it goes flying. It's handy to have a trash can nearby. I snip off my end, and then I'm going to snip it into 3s. The farther you go up on the asparagus, the more tender it becomes, right? So this top part, or the tree part, is the most tender and most delicious. But really, I shouldn't say most delicious because it all tastes the same. You really can definitely eat this stem. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to cook than the top part, so you might need to leave it in the oven just a tad bit longer, but it is definitely edible. So I try to use as much of the asparagus as I can. Look, this is just a stem. It has no tree attached. I'm still going to use it. I'll snip off the very end, cut it in 2. Snip, snip, chop, chop. Snip, snip, chop, chop. Wonder how many of these fruits and vegetables are going to be new to you, boys and girls. Are there ones here that you see, or ones that we read about in the story, that you have never tasted before? I wonder. If there are, I certainly hope you'll give them a try. We always talk about how important it is and what a good idea it is to give new things a try, right? Because we don't know for sure whether or not we're going to like it until we taste it. That's the only way to find out for sure. I used to not like asparagus as a child. Now I love asparagus. I also love Brussels sprouts. Do you have a favorite fruit and a favorite vegetable? What is it? My favorite fruit, I'm thinking that's kind of a hard one too. My favorite fruit might be pineapple or strawberries. Okay, so my green beans and my string beans and my asparagus are in my roasting pan. I'm going to stop there. There's only a couple more left. And I'm going to go ahead on now and chop up my zucchini and my squash. I need a little bit more room here, but we're going to make do. For my zucchini, I'm just going to slice it down. Then I'm going to show you what I do next. After I have a few slices, I like to kind of stack them, slice them again, turn them and slice them one more time so that I now have quarters, right? I took a whole piece and I divided it into 4 to make quarters. I'd break those up and put those in there. Let me show you that one more time. 1, 2, 3. They're going to roast for a while, so you can make the pieces a little bit thicker. Boom. Boom. Quarters. Throw them in the pan. I like zucchini, so I'm going to add a little bit more. I'm actually just going to finish this zucchini right up. Stack it. Slice it. Turn it. Slice it again. Okay, so there's our zucchini. Zucchini and squash are in the same family. I'm going to do the same thing with the squash. You'll notice just the difference in color. That's the other thing about this recipe. I love it because it is colorful. It adds a lot of flavor and a lot of health, like nutrition, to your meal, but it's also just very colorful and it looks pretty on your table. Half, half again. Oops. Sometimes the stack will slide on you. You got to be careful. Hold it still. And again, you have to be very careful when you're using sharp utensils such as this knife. Sliced it in half, turn, slice it again. Okay, well, what do we have left? I definitely want to add some sweet potato. That was in our story. I love roasted potatoes of any kind, but especially a sweet potato or a yam. These are a little bit harder to cut, so you're going to have to use some muscle. I'm probably going to do the same thing. I'm going to quarter them, just chunk them. Just like so. I maybe needed a little bit bigger of a pan for as many veggies as I'm adding. So again, that's all dependent on how many people you're serving, whether or not you want leftovers, right? Your choice. I'm going to do a little bit more sweet potato because I can always add more later. Just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to add a couple more pieces of sweet potato, and then we're going to move on to our other veggies. And of course, I want to show you how to make the delicious dressing that's going to coat this yummy salad. Awesome. What else was in our story? We had those Fire Hut chili peppers. Do you remember? So if you like things a little bit spicy, if you're okay with that, then go ahead and add some chilies. Again, you snip off the ends and of course take out those seeds, take out some of the heat. If you have a smaller knife, that would be ideal. Kind of tricky to do it with this big one, but we'll make it work. Go ahead and yank those seeds out. You try to kind of pull it and then I just shake it. I don't know if you could see those seeds falling out. But the more seeds you get rid of, the better if you don't want it super hot. You can just slice these down like so. Cut them in half again if you'd like. I do like things spicy, so does my family. So when making this at my house, for my family, I would add probably a mess of chilies. Again, your call. Okay. Then artichokes were in our story. And ultimately, fresh artichoke hearts or the frozen artichoke hearts would work best for this recipe. Today, we're just going to use canned ones. It will turn out, that's fine. So I have a couple here that I've already drained. I'm just going to cut those in half and toss those in. Sometimes you'll see at restaurants, or maybe you've made it at home, stuffed artichokes, stuffed with breadcrumbs and sometimes meat, and that's delicious. But a lot of times you can eat just what is called the heart of the artichoke, and that's what we're using today, the hearts. Throwing that in there. Lima beans were also in the story, so we're going to throw some lima beans in here. That'll give it a nice flavor. And then the only other thing, I think, is the eggplant, okay? Now, when using an eggplant, it's very important that you rinse it, drain it, No matter how you're cutting it, whether you're slicing it or you're cubing it, you want to salt it heavily. And I didn't take the time to do that today, and just for time's sake, we're not going to do it on the show either. But you can certainly add some eggplant to your salad. But before you do it, before you roast it with the other veggies, you would have to salt it pretty heavily because that takes out the bitterness. So you salt it and you let it sit for about 40 minutes to an hour at least on your counter, or you can stick it back in the fridge. Then you can go ahead and add it and roast it or cook it or whatever you're going to do with it, okay? But it's really important that you salt it, drain it, and let it sit. You wouldn't want your delicious salad to all of a sudden taste bitter because of this one veggie, because of this eggplant, okay? So this is what an eggplant looks like. It is healthy, it is delicious. We're just not going to take the time to cut it up and add it today. I think this is all we're going to do. So we're going to go ahead and drizzle some more olive oil on top before we bake, before we roast. It is going to go into a 400-degree oven for about half an hour to 45 minutes, depending on how cooked you want them. I'm going to go ahead and give them another toss. You can add seasoning. I keep mine very, very simple. I add a little bit of salt and pepper. Pepper doesn't want to come out. My goodness, my pepper's stuck in there for some reason. There we go. A little bit of salt and pepper and a whole lot of garlic, because I cook with a lot of garlic almost no matter what I'm making. That's just me. I'm Italian. I think it gives it so much more flavor, and I'm just used to it. I grew up on lots of garlic, and I still use lots of garlic. Again, that's one thing I forgot today. You can use fresh garlic. Go ahead and crush the cloves right on top. Jarred garlic works just as well. If you don't want as pungent or as much garlic of a flavor, use just a little bit of garlic powder or garlic salt. That's your choice, but I would add garlic. Again, this is going to go into a 400-degree oven for a half an hour. While that is baking, you can then start on your dressing. Oh, and you can also chop up the other cold fruits and veggies. So we did our greens, remember? On top of this, we can go ahead and add the tomato. You're not going to cook the tomato. It's also, I guess, important for you to note that you could have left the artichoke hearts cold. A lot of times you'll see them go cold in a salad. I just chose to roast it. A lot of these can be either or. Tomatoes, I don't want my tomatoes cooked. I want my tomatoes raw in a salad. Boom, boom. Boom, boom. And like I said, let's kind of clean up as much as we can and start on our dressing so I can show you what all goes in there. 3 simple ingredients really, and again, I'm not much of a measurer. I think that's why I like to cook much more than I like to bake. I feel like when you're cooking, you can kind of experiment and be a little more loose with your measurements. But in baking, it's really important that your measurements are exact, or the recipe usually won't turn out. I feel like cooking, you have a little bit more leeway. So I'm going to go ahead and use this bowl, and I don't know how much olive oil I'm going to put in. For the amount of our salad, for the size of our salad, maybe I would do 6 tablespoons of olive oil, but I don't even measure that out. I kind of just eyeball it. 4, 5, 6, maybe. And I would do half the amount of balsamic vinegar, so maybe I would do 3. And how do I know for sure that it's going to turn out? You can taste it, of course. You can taste it before it goes onto your salad. You can have others taste it, right? Hey, what do you think this needs? A little more of this, a little more of that, and just add it as necessary. 1, 2, I'm going to call that 3 tablespoons. I'm going to go ahead and give that a little stir. I would add garlic in here as well. You can do basil, oregano. Oh, that's the other thing, friends. There was basil in our story, partay. Do you remember the basil? Yeah, and I couldn't find fresh basil when I went to the grocery store. I would definitely snip up fresh basil and put that right in our salad too. Absolutamente. Okay, the last ingredient for our dressing is maple syrup. So this is going to give us a little bit of a sweetness. And I would say maybe 1 tablespoon of this, definitely not as much. Go ahead and stir that up. I don't think I added the salt and pepper, so I'll do that now. You want to mix it up well too. Now again, if you pour this on, you coat it, and you find out it's not really coating it as much as you'd like, go ahead and whip up another batch of dressing, right? Some people like their dressing really, I don't want to say soggy, but really, you know, I don't want to say soaked either, but it has a good amount of dressing, right? And other people like very little. So it's just a matter of personal taste. I probably would do a little bit more of this, but we'll see how this coats it. So let's bring our salad part. Let's bring our greens back over. Let's put a little bit of this dressing on top. Let's toss that. And then let's pretend our veggies are done. Let's add the veggies, the roasted ones, and finish up the dressing. I have some veggies already roasted. I did that earlier today. You can see the zucchini, the squash, the sweet potatoes, the string beans, the lima beans. They're all in there. Some people say, hot or warm vegetables on top of a cold salad? Definitely. Give it a try. Again, you'll find that it's probably more delicious than you might expect. Okay, now we have to add the rest of our dressing. Every last drop. Toss it or mix it again. I find I work better with a spoon here, so I'm just going to keep tossing with the spoon. That purple cabbage really makes it colorful too. So again, I love the way that it looks as well as the way that it's going to taste. So this is our episode for November, and November, of course, is Thanksgiving. Could this be a salad that you might want to add to your Thanksgiving meal menu? Maybe, hopefully, you'll give it a try. And I wonder what other delicious things you make on Thanksgiving. What other favorite family recipes do you make and share? I'd love to know. So as always, if you want to share any of your recipes or ideas, feel free to email me at volpe@einetwork.net. I'm going to take one more look at this salad, and then I'm going to go ahead and divvy it up to my friends and dig in. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again next month. Take care.